All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the FIT40 Podcast, where we simplify exercise and nutrition for busy parents 40 plus so they can improve their health and feel amazing. Today, we have a special guest in the house. We have Melody Schoenfeld. She is a grip athlete who is competing for the U.S. this summer. She is a three-time American record powerlifting holder and in the squat, bench, and deadlift, strongman competitor who has pulled a truck with her bare hands and torn phone books. She is strong as hell, but she also helps others get strong as well. She's been a personal trainer for over 30 years, 2019 Personal Trainer of the Year award, authored a couple of books like Strength Training for All Body Types, Diet Lies and Weight Loss Truths, Pleasure Not Meeting You, Meet, MEAT, and has been featured in magazines like Shape, Oxygen, Men's Fitness, Muscle, and Fitness. And she's also been a vegan since 2001 and is a metal singer and self-proclaimed bird nerd. So we're going to have a lot to talk about today. Melody, welcome to the show.
I'm hiring you as my hype man. That was pretty cool.
That's my goal. Every time somebody comes on, they're like, I want you as my hype man. But yeah, I had a blast like researching you and trying to understand like what it is that you do. And I was like, wow, I was not expecting Metal Singer and Bird Nerd to be on there. So
I mean, the two great tastes that go great together,
yeah, seriously. Now you definitely have to come to karaoke night next time you're at Real Coaches
Oh, God,
Summit
I'm so sad I missed it.
because I think you'd give Jeb and Aram a run for their money.
Yeah, next year it's happening
Hell yeah. I
for
can't
sure.
wait.
Mhm.
And for anybody who doesn't know, that's actually where I met Melody. I was at a cool table with her, Andrew Coates, and Phil, who's actually coming on I think tomorrow maybe. But
Oh,
be on the
cool. I
lookout.
love that.
Be on the lookout for it. It's going to be great.
Love
But
that.
oh yeah, I cannot wait. But yeah, let's dive into you a little bit though, like because I think you provide a really cool perspective, being that like when we talk about like women strength and strength building and trying to get stronger overall, people seem to have a really negative connotation when they talk about that, or at least it's dying out as the years have progressed. But
Yeah.
how has it been being a strong person in like a relatively smaller body?
I mean, people don't expect it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of a disadvantage for me because aside from powerlifting, um, the weight classes for strongman and stuff like that, there just aren't a lot of people competing at my size. And so I'm generally competing against people who are not just a lot younger than me, but a lot heavier than me. So I'm dealing with people who outweigh me by 20, 30 plus pounds. My first Moss wrestling competition, I was against someone who was 180 pounds. So it's kind of
Damn.
like, well, I'm 110 sometimes. So yeah, it's crazy, but it's also, there's a lot of advantages to being a small human because we don't have as far to go when we pick stuff up. So there is that. But so what we lack in weight, we make up for in, distance and spunk.
Oh yeah. And I think there's a really good opportunity to kind of talk about when it comes to pound for pound strength really, because I think more people need to start zoning in on that, because especially like in powerlifting we see it all the time where there's people that could lift the house but not necessarily healthy.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that when it comes to tying in strength standards when it comes to relative to weight?
I think it's going to really depend on I mean, look, if you're a heavier person, you're going to be able to lift more weight, period. And for a lot of people, that is the only thing that matters is like, I want to be able to lift this much weight. And I don't care if I die in the process. I've seen a lot of that. A lot of like when you get to a very elite level, it's not about like how healthy are you or how much longevity you have. It's like, I want to pick that up, period. Um, so so that's really it depends on your perspective and your goals in life. I apologize for I'm being slacked in the background. Let me just turn my Slack notifications off.
Oh, that's okay. I'm actually not catching any, which is great.
Oh, you're not hearing the little like dot
Oh
things?
no, you're solid.
Okay, good. Well, I'm still gonna do it.
That's okay.
All right, there. So now we don't have any more of that. Okay. Um, right. So, but I do think pound for pound because like for instance, I was training to pick up the Dinny stones. Do you know the Dinny stones?
Yes, I'm familiar, but for those who aren't, and actually, I'm not sure on the exact weight on them, but for those who aren't, can you
Like
describe them in
730 pounds total.
730?
But yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's basically these two. It's only one set of stones. It's not like they have like you can just lift a Denny stone anywhere. It's one set of stones in Scotland, of course. Where else would it be?
Where else?
And the idea is that as a kind of mark of being a freaking beast, you go out there and you pick those things up. The lightest person to ever pick them up was a woman. I want to say she was about 160 pounds. She picked him up a couple years ago. I am not 160 pounds. But it's a very impressive feat at 160 pounds. I mean, she's pulling, so there, one of the stones is about 15% lighter than the other one, and you're picking them up. They have rings on them, and you're picking one up in front of you and one in back of you. You could do it next to you, but it gets a little awkward. So you're picking one in front of you and one in back of you, because that's not awkward at all. And you have these rings. One of the rings is more circular, and the other one is like an oval shape, and they're like digging into your palms. And
Oh,
it's
they're different shapes. I
oh
didn't
yeah,
realize that.
yeah, and one of them is a little smaller. Yeah, no, it's a whole thing. Um, so you're not just dealing with the weight, you're dealing with an offset weight with different handles, and like they're rocks, so they're not shaped right, and it's just like a whole thing. So I've been training for that, and I have pulled over 460 pounds on my own. I still have well over 300, almost 300 pounds to go. And I have pulled, based on my body weight, more than most people who go out there and pull those stones, but it's not good enough. So it's a little frustrating. So
Yeah.
that is one thing that pound for pound, it doesn't matter, because you only have that set.
Yeah, it's like that difference between like absolute and relative strength, or it's like when you're like dieting, for example, relative strength is one way to really keep your head on straight and be like, I'm not weak. I swear I'm not weak. But then absolute is like, if you're going to chase a max, it's like, all right, let's get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah, and also with the stones, I would my head goes to like how much space is there between you and the handles? Like how far is it actually traveling when you lift the stones compared to like say a deadlift? Because since deadlift is usually like somewhere in that shin area.
Yeah, no, they're higher than that. I would say now I have to think. I want to say it's like about my knee height. What one of them
Okay, so it's still pretty low.
It's still pretty low. One of them is a little shorter than the other. But one of them's about my knee height, I think, the taller one, maybe. That's it.
Okay.
Now I have to go back and look. I don't even know.
All good, all good. I'll take your word for it. You're the expert here, so we'll
But
trust you on
now that I
it.
think about it, I feel like the the stick it's on, because it's a loadable stick. I feel like the loading pin is maybe at my knee height now. I don't know. I have to go look.
Okay. Yeah. That'll be a fun Google search after this.
Mhm.
I'm interested too now.
Mhm.
But when it comes to like huge amounts, like clearly you're an absolute pro and you know what it takes to get to that level. But for the average person, especially ladies listening right now that maybe are locked into lighter weights, like they're never ever going above like 20 pounds. Do you
Mhm.
ever get people coming through your doors that you work with as a client where you're just like, let's start lifting a little bit heavier?
Who like off the get-go, we're just going to lift heavy. It depends
Yeah.
on their experience, you
Yeah.
know. And heavy is a relative term, you know.
Hmm.
So for one person, 3 pounds might be really heavy. It
Yep.
just depends on the person. Um, if I have an experienced lifter who walks through my door, then yeah, we can pick up where they left off. That's not a problem. But if it's somebody who's never picked up a weight before, I'm not going to be like, yeah, let's throw 400 pounds on you. It's like it's going to be
Yeah.
heavy for them, not heavy for whoever. And for a lot of people, like first day, you just want to get them used to lifting something. You don't want to just be like, no, we're going to make this as hard as possible for you.
Yeah. That's like one of those like personal trainer green lights when you feel
Yeah,
like that first workout wasn't terrible, but it was
yeah,
like good.
yeah,
Always a good thing.
like good
And
enough.
yeah. And when you get to that point where you're like, okay, this doesn't hurt them. It's like, this seems appropriate. How do
Yeah.
you like to rev it up? Do you like working off of like a rep range or repetitions in reserve, or what's your preferred style with that?
I do like kind of perceived reps, but the problem is that most people don't understand what they're capable of. And so they'll be like, yeah, I can feel that. I mean, I can hold my arm out to the side for an hour and I can feel that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that is going to do anything for me, except make me really good at putting my arm out to the side. So, and I have a person in one of my group classes who's just habitually like, oh, this is really, really heavy for me. And I know she can lift a lot more than that. And I don't even leave it up to her to choose her own weights anymore, because she will always go lower than she needs to, because she's always like, oh, I don't have to work as hard. Like, because
Yeah.
I can feel that.
Well, and especially with the ladies too, it's like if you've ever carried a child, like you can easily carry over 20 pounds. Like you
Yeah.
had them in your belly and they were like 20, 25-ish total
Yeah.
weight. And then when you're carrying them as toddlers, they're like 30, 40 pounds. But no, that 20 pounder, too much.
Yeah. 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 You can be like Milo, the heavier your kid gets, just
Exactly. It's like, what's the difference? A kid, a bull, same
same
difference.
thing. Same thing. One
See,
of them's a
it's
little
the
less destructive.
yeah, it's a said principle. It says it in the textbooks. We have proof.
Exactly. Exactly. No, but it's true though, because I mean, women, geez, our freaking purses are stupid heavy, and like your purse is probably 20 pounds, and you don't realize it. We don't think about these things.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. And I know I took a look at a lot of the pictures in your gym and you have some like unique equipment. Are there like, speaking of carrying like a grocery bag or a purse or anything like that, it's a little like offset, I guess you could say. Are there any ways, like modalities that you really like to utilize that maybe people can produce more strength just because they don't think, oh, this is like a typical standard lift that's heavy?
I love stone lifting. I love it because stone lifting teaches you something that deadlifting can't, which is how do you pick up something that's really bulky. A lot of people like they're fine picking up a barbell, but they have to move a box and they throw their back out because they don't know how to pick it up. My sister threw her back. Well, my sister doesn't really lift, but she threw her back out, changing the bedding, because she went and picked up the mattress and like threw her back out, and she was lifting it so far out in front of her that her back just didn't, her back was like, no, don't do that. So I really like stone lifting because it teaches you, okay, here's how you handle a very bulky, heavy object that isn't really shaped right. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah. And it almost makes you think of like these lifts that are starting to get a lot more popular, like say Jefferson curls, for example,
Yeah.
where it's like we're doing these things that are like no-nos when it comes to the textbook way we all learn PT in the beginning, where it's
Yeah.
like flat backs. But like
Yeah.
picking up stones, for example, like what's the big difference between say doing a standard deadlift where you are textbook definition flat back or rounding over and actually picking something up like we would in a normal human movement?
So there's nothing wrong even with a deadlift with a round back deadlift. You can actually lift a lot of weight that way. You just have to condition your back to lift that way. That's all. You're not going to just, and it's not like one of those things that people usually do where their legs are straight and their back is just, and they're doing this, like, it's not usually that, right? It's supported. And you're learning how to leverage what you have in a way that makes sense for you.
Yeah. And everybody's a little bit different, right? Like
Everybody.
some of those like max level deadlifters, the best in the world, round back because
Yep.
it's like how many people can really keep a flat back lifting like 800-900 pounds?
Well, and yeah, and the heavier that weight gets, the more it's going to pull you into flexion. So it's you should learn how to lift like that, and you learn. I usually teach people with a very exaggerated pose this way to
Mhm.
deadlift, because the heavier that weight gets, they start to pull it this way. So I'm okay with them having that like military, like crazy arch in their back, because that's going to go away over time, but it's teaching them to use the muscles in their back, feel the muscles in their back, so that they don't just immediately flop.
And I love that because I know, at least early in my personal training career, I was like, oh my God, if you ever feel it in your back, let me know. It's not good, like whatever. But when you're saying like in your back, it's more like QL, lats, even erectors too, where it's like, it's not necessarily your spine, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
no, the spinal muscles are. or supporting. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you have
Yeah.
a lot of muscles back there. They're all working. It's not like you're just like eliminating a few of them, you know? Yeah.
Exactly. So
Mhm.
when it comes to like differentiating between like what's good, what's bad, how do you like explaining that to clients where it's like, I'm sure lifting heavy, you know, like what a bad feeling is and like what a good feeling is? Like, what's your favorite way to explain that?
Well, I think I basically say like if you feel like somebody like kicked you in the back, that's not a good thing. But it's just like if it's more of a like I feel like I'm 100 years old kind of situation, that's a different thing. Like that's
Yeah.
usually more sore, but you don't want to feel like somebody like took your spine out of your back and threw it across the room or anything, you know. But soreness is very normal. Not everybody gets sore, and some people get more sore than others, but soreness is a normal thing when you have a novel stimulus, but it shouldn't be like sharp or like you shouldn't be debilitated. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
If you can't
That's
sit up in
that.
the morning, that's a problem.
Yeah. We've definitely had one or two of those, right? Where it's like,
Mhm.
oh, not good, not good.
Yeah.
But I think it also opens up the conversation of like, are tweaks necessarily a bad thing or a learning experience? Because I know, at least, especially in strongman, it seems like aches and pains are like kind of part of the deal, but you are resilient and you get stronger and you feel better over time.
See, I would never tell somebody to train like a competitive strongman
Yeah.
because in strongman you work through injuries. Like
Yeah.
if you're
Or
competing,
I guess the better verbiage would be strongman style, like not so much like competitive.
so strongman style, you know, it's such a wide variety of things, and there's no one thing that defines a strongman lift other than like that's something that you're not normally supposed to pick up. I think I'll pick it up. You know, that's really
Let me
um
get it. Let me get at it. Let's find out.
exactly. And the you know, they're strongman's not standardized. So the events are always different. And sometimes people make shit up, you know. Um so the thing of it is a tweak is a tweak. It's like if you feel like you're about to be injured, or if you feel like if you do one more, that's going to be bad news bears, then you should not be doing that. There is no movement anybody has to do.
Mhm.
Now, that said, pain is cyclical. Pain is a very interesting thing because there's a very strong brain pain relationship where your body gets a sort of a PTSD when it comes to pain. Your body says, oh, that is a thing that has hurt me before, or that's a thing I'm afraid might hurt me. So I'm going to create pain so I don't do it, because pain is your body's way of saying, hey, you know what, don't do that thing. And so sometimes pain is a matter of, I need to teach my body it can move like this so I can break that cycle. If you have like a trauma related pain, and we don't always know that, do we? You know, but if you have a trauma
Mhm.
related pain, then it's going to be a matter of let me move through that range of motion first without weight. And now I'm going to very, very slowly add weight to it as my body realizes that don't hurt. And it makes a difference. You can break that cycle.
Yeah, for sure. And I know a lot of people don't really seem to think about the opposite end of the spectrum where it's like, yeah, we don't want to go too heavy, too soon, too fast. But at the same time, we don't want to avoid it altogether because it's almost riskier to avoid these lifts.
Yeah. And especially if it's a movement that you have to do in your everyday life. You know,
Hmm.
there's always something else you can do to work a specific muscle. But if there are things you do in your everyday life we're going to have to replicate that in the gym somehow so that you can do those without pain.
Yep, absolutely. And that's where it helps to have a professional in your corner because the average person only knows like what, like 20 exercises or something like that. So it's like, oh, I can't barbell back squat. Guess I can't squat now.
You can't squat. Yeah. I love belt squats. Love them.
Ooh, that is a luxury. That is like if you have the means, folks, I highly recommend it.
So I don't have a belt squat machine.
Oh no.
No, I have like a $25 belt squat edition that I stick on. I have a yoke, a strongman yoke that has like
Okay.
big holes in it. So I just put it, so it's like a lever. It's like basically a
Oh,
metal thing. It's a lever with a pin on the end of it. And
okay. Kind of like a jammer arm a little bit.
a little bit like that. And then I just load the pin. It's not as good as a belt squat machine because you're dealing with leverage. So you're not lifting what you think you're lifting, but it's still like, it's a great, like, it doesn't cost much. And it's a great addition to the gym if you can make it work with your setup.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And now that you say that, it's like I've definitely seen like an Instagram ad or two of these things that are like attachments to like racks that
Mhm.
could easily be done. So
Oh,
that's a
for sure.
great one.
Hmm.
People really do sleep on the belt squat because there's way less of the load on the spine, I guess, is the big one. But
Yeah.
so many
And
other benefits too.
well, it takes fear out of it. A lot of people are afraid of back squats because in their head, they're going to not be able to get back up. But when that weight is lowered down, what's the worst that's going to happen? Like, you just unclip it from your belt. So I think it's a lot, it takes a lot of fear out of the squat.
Yeah. And you could even like go a step further and be like, let's do dead stops. Cause then it's like, hey, if you hit the floor and you can't get back up,
Yeah,
it's like, well, it's on the floor. You just boom, you're done.
exactly. Yeah. Mm.
This is why people having like machines or having like adaptive modalities where you could just make it your own are such a huge benefit and can keep you going long term, which is actually one of the things I wanted to touch on, which is doing this for a long time. I mean, you've been in the game for how long, being a strong person in every form that there is?
Well, I've been training for 30 years.
30 years. So what advice would you give to somebody that's like, listen, I want to make this a lifestyle. I want to do this for a long time and not have to like have stretches where I give up or fall off the wagon.
So I do things a little differently than most competitive athletes because I'm not willing to work through injury. It's not worth it to me. And that's why I'll never be an elite athlete. If you want to be super elite, you need to be okay with, like, hey, my leg fell off, but I'm going to keep going. Right. I'm not okay with that. Like, I don't want to be permanently damaged. And so I will stop if I'm injured, period. And most elite athletes won't. And in strength sports, right?
Mhm.
Unless they are absolutely like, there's no way they can lift anymore, they're going to lift through it.
Yeah.
So for me, if I recognize that there is a problem coming up, I get it addressed. I'm not a big fan of chiropractors in general, but I have the world's best chiropractor. Like, if you find a good chiropractor,
Yep.
hang on to your chiropractor because a good one is amazing. And I have like, I will, if I ever leave the country, I'm coming back to work with my chiropractor. I love my chiropractor.
As you say that, I'm like missing my two guys that I used to work in the same gym with. And I'm like, they're literally the only chiropractors in the world I trust. But I'm
Yeah.
convinced the rest are quacks, but those are my guys.
Yeah. I mean, it's a field where you get a lot of shady stuff. But if you
Yeah.
find someone who knows what they're doing, oh my God, he has saved me so many times. I'm pretty sure I'm going to send his kids to college through all the people I refer to him. But yeah, get a good team of people who can help you help yourself. So, get a coach, get a good pain management type person, whether it's a chiropractor or not. Get make sure you're recovering. A lot of people don't recover. Like, in their minds, it's like, if I have to just keep moving because that's the thing that matters. No, recovery is just as important as moving. Good sleep, and I'm speaking as a lifelong insomniac, but good sleep is like that. It's night and day if you're sleeping well versus not. And a lot of people just adapt so well. Our bodies adapt to whatever we're throwing at them. That's why you see people doing okay on a nothing but McDonald's diet. It's like their body's like, well, this is all you're giving me. I guess this is what we're doing now. But once you stop eating that and start eating healthy foods, your body's like, McDonald's is gross. Don't give that to me. And so you don't feel so good when you eat it anymore.
Yep.
It's the same with,
It's funny when you do that like fast food detox and you go back and you're like, oh God, how did I ever eat this?
yeah. But it's the same with sleep. It's like, if you suddenly get a stretch of good sleep after years of not sleeping well, all of a sudden you're like, oh, this feels pretty good. Like, you don't realize, you think you're like, oh, I only need 4 hours of sleep. You probably don't only need 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
So
Well, I could tell you right now, I literally have had one client that said that their doctor found like some thing genetically that they could do that. And that's after like 10 years and 300, 400 clients. It's like chances are it's not you.
yeah, I mean, it exists. It just doesn't exist commonly.
No, no,
Yeah.
for sure. And
Mhm.
I could definitely attest to that as well. Like in high school, worst sleeper, college, terrible sleeper, but became a personal trainer, sat in on these courses that are like sleep is the best. It leads to all these benefits. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should start caring about my sleep. I do. And now my fiance refers to me as the sleep diva because when you actually understand how life changing it is, you're like, all right, lights off, shades down, sleep mask on, nasal breather on.
No, that's when all your body's repair processes happen in your sleep. Like they are the most active at that time. And so when you don't sleep well, everything is affected. Everything from your ability to problem solve to driving while poorly slept is the same as driving while drunk. You
Yeah.
do not respond to stimuli as quickly, and your chances of getting in an accident are much higher.
Yeah,
Um,
and I know there was literature a while back about like injury rates, like how much higher they are when you don't sleep a certain amount of hours. It's
yes.
like a very strong relationship between sleep and injury rate.
Yes, and you just won't get as strong because you're not rebuilding the way you should be rebuilding. Plus, you're not metabolizing food the way you normally would be metabolizing food, and your nutrition is hugely important for your strength.
Yeah.
So,
And then we could even go into things like insulin sensitivity. Like when you get horrible sleep, you end up having the same insulin responses or similar to people that are pre-diabetic. And it's like if you do that day after day after day, what do you think that's doing to your body?
yeah. I was evacuated from my place for 2 months because of the fires here, and I had to throw out everything. Like I had to throw out my mattress and my sofas and whatever. And so I had to buy a new mattress. And let me tell you, I I kind of went minimalist on most of my place, but I invested in my bed. I was like, I'm already an insomniac. I've been an insomniac since I was a little kid, runs in my family. But I am going to make this as sleep productive as possible. So I got the adjustable bed. Do it. Game changer. Like adjustable bed. I don't care. Like people had this image of it as being like just like for elderly people or sick people. No, the adjustable bed is a game changer. So I got one of those, and I got this topper. It's from a Canadian company, and I'm trying. Oh my god, what's the name of it? I can't
We got to get some affiliate codes here.
telling you, if I like a product, I will promote the crap out of it. I really should affiliate with people more. I'm trying to think of the name of it. And anyway, it's got fans inside of it.
That's okay. If you think of it once we like, because it always happens. The second we hit end, it's like, oh, got it now.
Yes.
Just send it my way. And if that does happen, people, it's going to be down in the description in the show notes. Just click away.
Yes. It's the same price as a mattress. Like it's stupid expensive, but it has fans in it. You can heat it up. You can cool it down in the middle of the night. If you wake up and you're all sweaty, you can cool it down. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you're freezing, you can warm it. It's glory. Oh my God.
Yeah. It
Yes.
almost sounds like the chili pad.
It's not a chili pad.
Yeah.
See, now this is gonna drive me crazy because I don't remember the name of this, but it's worth getting. Do it. Get it.
Yes, absolutely. If you're going to invest in anything, sleep is probably one of the top things you can invest in.
Yes.
And to circle back a little bit, because I know that you mentioned like a lot of common things that people usually end up falling off the rails with, injury being a big one. Like when you were talking about pushing past that point of pain, immediately I'm like, okay, we're approaching golf season and tennis season when everybody just starts to jump right back in. Do you see a lot of people coming in with like tendonitis issues or anything like that, where it's like they just did 18 holes of golf or like they just played for 4 hours and they're like, I don't know what happened?
Well, I have a lot of people who are perfectly snug. Sorry, I just remembered it.
There we go.
Anyway, I have a lot of people into pickleball right now,
Hey,
and I'm
same
seeing,
here. I'm a
yeah,
fiend.
are you? I've never done it.
It's a fun time. It
Yeah,
sucks for the first 3, 4 months where you're figuring it out and trying to hit it right. But then when
yeah.
you know what you're kind of doing, it becomes fun.
Okay, good to know. I will try it sometime, apparently.
Yeah, highly recommend.
But I'm seeing a lot of pickleball injuries. A lot of
Yeah.
people because it's that repetitive stress over and over and over again. So yeah, I'm seeing it from that. I do have a lot of golfers, and from that, I have a bunch of tennis players, same thing. Yeah. So if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again and not like training other stuff, you're gonna end up with. I get it from the grip stuff. I stopped doing the grip stuff for a while because my fingers were locking up. Um, it's not fun. Trigger thumb.
Yeah.
Your
Well,
thumb.
we have this stuff happen all the time. Like we see it in kids that specialize too early. Like all of a sudden they get overuse injuries, or
Yep.
like runners when they don't do any form of cross training. It's like
Yeah.
all of a sudden the ankles, knees, and hips are shot, and it's like, I wonder why.
Yep. Yep. I mean, you could theoretically still get those injuries even with a good training program, but
Yeah.
it'll at least help,
Yeah. It'll give you a little bit more like longevity, I guess, in those joints. Like if you could build the muscles around it and build up the tolerance, it puts
Yeah.
you in a better situation overall.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Because it's interesting. Like when we get hurt or something, all of a sudden you go to PT and you work on all those areas. Or it's
Mhm.
like you hurt your back, for example, like lifting something. And then what's the first thing they teach you? How to lift with your hips more so than with your back. And it's like when we do these basic things that we kind of know we should focus on doing, then it's
Mhm.
like, okay, this could have been taken care of beforehand.
Pick up some stones, man.
Pick up some stones.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. Now, before we wrap up, because I know we have a lot of good stuff in this so far that people are going to be thinking about applying to their specific situation, I got to ask, is there like, when it comes to your experience, is there one bird that you have not seen yet that's like on your list of like, I need to catch this bugger?
Not one bird specifically, but one type of bird. I love owls. So the one bird that that was on my list, I saw it. It was a California condor, and I volunteer with the California Condor Society, and so I got to see some. So that was really cool. But no, I'm an owl lover, and I've seen great horned owls in the wild, but that's the only kind of owl no, I'm sorry. I've seen two kinds of owls in the wild, but I've burrowing owls. They're really cute. They're like this big. But I've never seen other kinds of owls. So I'm gonna go on an owling trip with the Audubon Society to see some more.
Nice, nice. Hey, might as well make a trip out of it, right?
Right? It's like from
That's all.
6 p.m. to 12 a.m., which is way past my bedtime, but I'm gonna
Oh,
go.
what? Yeah, I guess that makes sense because they're owls. Yeah,
No,
I had to think about that one. I'm like, why the? Oh, that makes
yep,
sense.
yep. Mhm.
but, but that's very good to know. I hope that you get to see them. I hope that you get plenty of pictures to throw on Instagram, which I
They're
know is
going up.
one of the best places to find your stuff. But
Mhm.
if people are interested and they're like, I want to see more of Melody, like I want to see her lift all these heavy things and get some inspiration and get a lot of knowledge, where can they find you?
The easiest place is probably social media. Like I'm on Instagram for the time being. I hate social media like with a passion, but it's basically I don't do it right anyways. I know you're supposed to do social media a certain way if you're like a person with a business, but I don't. And so it's a lot of like I do, me picking stuff up, but it's also like here's my dog and here's a bird I saw and like just like random
Yeah.
stuff. Um, but yes, my Instagram is at the number 5 FT of Fury number 1. So 5 feet of Fury 1. So that's me. So you can find me there.
Awesome. Well, you guys know if you've been listening for a while, it's going to be down in the show notes in the description. You don't have to go searching, just go click away. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in all the way through. As a thank you for Melody coming on, if at any point you heard something that really resonated and you're like, damn, this person in my life really needs to hear this. Maybe they need to get a little bit stronger. Maybe they need to stop ego lifting. Okay, go ahead and send it their way and they'll be thankful you did. And so will we. All right. So until next time, guys, thank you, Melody, for coming on. I'll see you guys all in the next episode. But until then, go kick some ass. Bye bye.